Good evening. Will the meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for Wednesday, May 3rd, 2017, please come to order? I'd like to start out doing the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody would rise. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, so for the benefit of those who may not have participated in a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, our procedure is as follows. 1, we will read the legal call of the meeting as published in local newspapers. 2, the applicant will be invited to come forward and present the case, explaining to the Commission and others present what is being requested of the property. Comments of town agencies will be read for each application if there are any. There will be clarifying questions from the Commissioners. Then there will be an opportunity for clarifying questions from the audience. First, those who wish to support the application may come forward, and second, those who oppose the application will be invited to come forward and express their opinion. As this is a public hearing, it must be recorded. It is necessary for speakers to identify themselves by stating their name and address before addressing the Commission. The applicant is free to leave or remain for the balance of the public hearing in the regular meeting, at which time the Commission will try to reach a decision on each application. Each applicant will be notified in writing to the decision of the Commission and has a right to appeal in Superior Court if desired. Decisions of this meeting are available the day after a meeting by calling the Planning and Zoning Office at 453-8039 after 9 a.m. Seated this evening are the following members. We have Tom Cost, Richard Wallace, I'm Frank D'Andrea, Josh Hirschman, Rich Meyer, Alan Brown, Phil Johnson. Staff present tonight are George Kroll, Reggie Reed, and Lisa Brewer is our recording secretary, and the videographer this evening is Peter Schultz. Now will the secretary please read the legal notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on May 3rd, 2017 at 7:30 p.m. at the Nathaniel B. Green Community Center, 32 Church Street, Guilford, Connecticut, in the Monunketuck Room on the second floor for the following purposes. David Matthews, 20 Fox Ridge Road, map 78, lot 35-12, special permit accessory structure over 750 square feet, addition to existing garage 16.5 feet by 33 feet. First public hearing to be continued for mandatory second public hearing on 5/17/17. David and Barbara Denoya, 2734 Long Hill Road, map 104, lot 17, zone R8, special permit, accessory structure over 750 square feet, 3-bay garage. This is the first public hearing to be continued to 5/17/17 for a mandatory second public hearing. VFW Post 7666, 57 Mill Road, map 46, lot 62, zone R5. Special permit, site plan revision and coastal area management application for replacing part of an existing building and installing a new parking lot and continuation and update of current special permit uses, section 273-91 and 273-97 and 273-79. This is the first public hearing to be continued to 5/17/17 for mandatory second public hearing. Christopher and Andrea Greeny, 153 Marshall Avenue, map 10, lot 55, zone R2, coastal area management to pave driveway with pavers and build a patio, section 273-91. Green Grove Incorporated, 148 Whitfield Street, map 33, lot 6, zone R1, special permit and site plan, adding 600 square feet to floor area, a 300 square foot addition over existing concrete patio. This being the first public hearing, second public hearing will be continued to May 17, 2017. Copies of these applications are available for inspection in the office of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Town Hall South, 50 Boston Street, Guilford, Connecticut. At this hearing, persons may attend and be heard, and written communications will be received. Dated at Guilford, Connecticut, this 12th day of April 2017. Frank D'Andrea, Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll start with the Guilford CrossFit LLC.
This is my second appearance. I am applying for a special permit or a special change of site plan for, I think it's 391 Soundview Road.
That's what it says here.
Any changes since the
No
last
changes.
meeting?
No.
Okay. Anything new you want to add?
Nope.
Okay. So, commissioners have any questions from last meeting? I'm good. Okay, anybody from the public wish to ask a question? Anybody like to speak in favor or against this application? Seeing none?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The Girls Vegan Creamery?
Hi there.
Hi.
So I'm here for my second meeting, and I don't know what I'm supposed to tell you. Has there been any changes at all? No changes.
No changes.
No.
Good. Any questions?
I'm good.
Do we have any questions from the public? Anybody like to speak in favor or against? Okay, hearing none.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have the recommendation by the zoning committee. Amend article, was that 7? 7 signs, add new section 273-62, digital signs on town property. This is the first, subsection 273-91, the first public hearing to be continued to 5/17, mandatory second public hearing. Mr. Kroll.
Sir, I told you don't have a copy of the text of this proposed amendment, is that correct? We do. No, we don't. Okay. With your indulgence, I'll read it to you, and then I'll endeavor to explain what it's all about. This is a proposed amendment made by the Selectman's Office to amend the sign regulations, Article 7 of the zoning code, to add a new section which would allow so-called digital display signs on town property. The title of this new section is 273-62, digital display signs on town property. Digital display signs utilizing LED technology and providing messages and notices of public importance are integral to the proper functioning of the town. Such messages may provide notice of community events and provide emergency information. Notwithstanding the other standards of this section, digital display signs on town property may be allowed subject to the following standards. No such sign shall be larger than 50 square feet. No more than one such sign shall be located on a lot. Said lot or lots shall be owned by the town of Guilford or the state of Connecticut. The content of sign messages shall not be commercial and shall be subject to the approval of the first selectman or his or her designee, and subject to rules adopted by the Board of Selectmen. The location of said signs shall be subject to approval by the Planning and Zoning by the Commission pursuant to Article 9, Site Plan Review of the Zoning Code. Said sign shall conform to the setback standards for accessory structures as shown on tables 3 and 3B of this code. So, as you know, under our current regulations, we don't allow digital or LED signs with changing messages. This proposal would allow such signs on behalf of the town, subject to the standards that I just mentioned. This is envisioned as a replacement for the banner that used to hang across Route 1. From time to time, you may have seen it, advertising public nonprofit facility events, Rotary Lobster Fest, Guilford Art Festival, and similar events. The town has determined that that is no longer a desirable way of allowing this type of advertising, and would like to allow this LED digital display sign technology to be used in its place. Said signs to be located on town property or on state property, and subject to the other rules that I mentioned and the other criteria that I mentioned. There is no proposed location right now for any such sign. The rules for using the sign in terms of how long your message can be displayed, whether or not there's a fee associated with the display of your message, who gets to display their messages. All of that would be worked out by the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen would then administer the use of the sign once it's been approved and constructed. As I mentioned, it can only be constructed on town property or state property, subject to the setback requirements of the zoning code, no more than one such sign on any lot. 50 square feet is the proposed maximum sign size. I'm sure you've seen this type of sign in various other locations. In our immediate vicinity here, there's one in front of the Clinton Town Hall, which you may have seen, or it's a similar purpose. I'm told there's one also on the main road that goes into Old Saybrook.
One in Bridgeport, too, I think.
Maybe. I've seen several of them.
George, I have a question for you.
So that's about as much as I can tell you.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Prior to my time on planning and zoning, we had before us a proposal for this kind of, or a moving billboard, I think is all I know. And it was very, very fought by both sides. And I remember it was not, neither of them remembered the fight well. They all really hated this big fight. And so it was controversial. Can you, from your memory, tell us why that sign was controversial?
That was a proposal to allow, in lieu of billboards, which are non-conforming signs and owned by commercial entities and where there's commercial advertising, to allow, in lieu of the existing non-conforming billboards, the replacement of those billboards by these so-called digital signs.
Right, so I went through the minutes because I was trying to familiarize myself with this, and I saw that a couple of the commissioners brought out that there's an increase in automobile accidents in the location of these signs because they pull your attention away from driving. Do you recall something like that in that hearing? And I had the luxury of looking through minutes that you don't have.
Somebody, if you saw it in the minutes, I'm sure someone said it. I
So-
don't know whether that's true or not.
So my question,
Based on any scientific fact, though.
Yeah, I
There's a
don't.
statement.
well, no, actually, the one I read had some sort of study that they pointed to. But the question I have for you is this. If that sign, with its moving characters and it's illuminated, if that sign was going to cause an increase of automobile accidents, why won't this one?
I can't answer that question.
Is it possible that this may also increase accidents?
Sure, I think that's true of any sign is potentially distracting.
All right, so
Yes.
if it's distracting and one of our primary responsibilities is to protect the safety of this town, how can we justify passing this?
I definitely would like to see some scientific proof on
That's
that.
a.
Yeah, I would leave that up to an
that's a question
expert.
I can't answer. I'm not in a position to really argue the merits of this particular signage.
Well,
Or
maybe- What is the
obviously,
genesis?
a lot would depend on the location of it.
So what is the genesis of this? Because I'm trying to get to where this came from. Who recommended this? I asked the zoning committee, and they didn't have a quorum, so that is, it's not really on the recommendation of the zoning committee?
It's not. The rationale and the impetus and the catalyst for this proposal, as I mentioned, is the experience that the town, the selectmen, have had with the banners that were displayed on Route 1. There are a number of complaints about the banners. Administering the use of the banners is problematic because there's only one banner at a time, and somebody's up there for a week, and then somebody else says, how come that person got to be there? And when I wanted to be there, this.
So are you
Let me
saying,
just continue on a couple of other things that have been pointed out to me. The banners are expensive for the advertiser, the Rotary or whoever's doing the advertising, they have to pay for these banners.
we're going to pay for this sign, though?
The town's paying for this.
Us taxpayers.
The town is paying for this sign, as I understand it. And there were issues associated with safety of the banner. A number of occasions, the cables that hold the banner to the power poles became detached and the banner was flapping in the wind. So the fire department is the responsible entity for attaching the banners, and they didn't really want to do that anymore or like doing it, and felt perhaps some liability associated with doing it. So for all those reasons, the town, through the Board of Selectmen, have thought that this might be a better alternative.
So I'm gathering from what you're saying that this is really on the recommendation of the Board of Selectmen.
I believe so. I believe I believe that this, the Board of Selectmen haven't approved the purchase of this, I don't believe. I know they asked the town engineer to look into the costs associated with purchasing the unit, and then depending on how it's actually installed, whether it's put in some kind of a frame or a brick-like structure like the one in Clinton, those would all go into the cost, but this is a proposal of the Selectmen's office, yes.
Okay.
Where do you foresee it? I mean, you've said that it could be on any town property, any state property. I mean, I'm going to just throw a couple of locations out, and you could say, yeah, it could go. I mean, could it go in the marina?
Sure.
Could it go in the green?
Yes, subject to.
Could it go over Route 1 where the banner was?
No, the way this is envisioned is that it would have to be located on a lot, and it would have to meet the setback requirements of for the lot. So it couldn't be like placed right next to the road, or in the road, or above the road at that standard. I think the locations I've heard it talked about were perhaps over in front of the police fire emergency facility there. I've heard it talked about perhaps in the vicinity of the Adams School, or the other piece of property the town owns immediately north of there where the welfare office is, that might be the type of location it might be located in. If we're located here or on the green, then it will be subject to historic district approval as well as planning and zoning. I've heard it said that they would not propose it to be located on the green. This, as far as the zoning regulation is concerned, it could be located on the green. But I've heard it said that that's not the intention.
But by the wording.
Could be located on any town property, correct.
So,
It would obviously have to be in a place highly visible, or what's
Well,
the point?
just the various places that you've mentioned, in my opinion, don't have anywhere near the visibility that the banner location has now. So my guess is it would probably be significantly less effective.
I've never seen one of these elevated above the roadway,
I haven't either, except on
well, on the highway, you see them all the time.
but attached to some kind of major
So
structure.
theoretically,
Yeah.
we could have, according to this, and that the US Route 1 is a state property, it's plausible in the wording of this that we could have one of these signs that are over the highway, over US Route 1, saying, come on down to the fish fry.
It's not going to happen.
And it's probably not going to
Highly
happen.
unlikely, but I guess theoretically possible.
As it relates to the roads in town, it would seem to me, when we talk about this, we have to understand that the state has a certain right-of-way back
Yeah.
from Route 1, Route 80, Route 146, any road that is a state road. They have a setback, and the state can put a sign there anytime they want,
Right.
whether it's an emergency or, a lane sign that says we're doing paving here, you can't be here for 4 days. So they have a right to do that now.
Their signs are not subject to the zoning code, if that's correct. So if the state wanted to do some other type of signage, I suppose they could. I mean, they have a fairly elaborate set of rules themselves that, for what kind of signs they're allowed to have.
It says the content cannot be of commercial character. But, I can foresee a scenario where, in order to mitigate the incredible cost one of these signs might have, which we're already expending money, if we're already shopping price and drawing some preliminary engineering drawings, we're already spending money on this now, today. But I can see potentially, if this is going to be a big lump of money, and apparently we have lots, we could, as long as the content's not commercial, we could have a businessman come forward and say, I'd like to pay for that sign. I just want a little thing on the bottom that says courtesy of the Joe Blow Company.
Yeah.
That could
would
happen.
be the kind of thing that would have to be subject to the rules that the selectmen create for using it. Just like the highway, like the state does now. It's my understanding with the banner that advertisers or supporters of nonprofit events cannot display their information or their logos on the banner advertising, for example, 2 years ago, the Lobster Fest banner was up there, and one of the sponsors of the Lobster Fest, I can't remember who it was, had their name on the banner. I think they probably paid for the banner, and the state made the town take that down because it had that commercial advertising on it, even though the primary message of the banner was to advertise the Lobster Fest, a nonprofit event. So the town might have similar rules that says can't, we're not allowed to do that, but
that's not in the wording.
that's not subject to our zoning code. No, that's subject to whatever rules the Board of Selectmen create for implementing this.
George, would it be helpful, since this seems like it's going to be pretty contentious, to have this vetted out a little bit more at the zoning committee and then come back, or is there a time frame on this? Because I'm sure the Guilford Preservation Alliance would like to participate maybe in some zoning committee meetings before we...
That's obviously up to the commission how you want to proceed with
I
this.
just want to know if there are any time constraints that we're under.
Yeah, and I'm not privy to the system that they're hoping to implement and how they would implement this. I think that, so you might want to have somebody from the Selectmen's office also involved in this.
So I think it's a really good idea. I know Mr. Roney's in the audience now, and would that be good?
That'd be excellent.
So why don't we do that?
One more quick question.
Okay.
We've had issues in the past where items have been given to us from the Board of Selectmen on their recommendation, and it's listed the selectmen that are in support of this, and obviously the ones that are not aren't signing the letter. Do we have anything like that showing who's supporting this and who's not?
No,
No. Was it a vote, or is it just kind of a...
I don't know. This is just something that was asked of me to see if I could come up with a proposal to amend the zoning code by the first Selectman. On what authority, I don't really know.
Joe asked you for this?
He's the first Selectman.
So,
You want to make a motion?
yeah, why don't we make a motion that we're going to reconvene?
Well, you'll send this to the zoning...
Back to the zoning.
We'll send it back to the zoning committee with the Guilford Preservation Alliance as a meeting with selectmen and go in a little bit more detail. Sound good?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining?
Thank you.
All right. George, are you up again? Recommendation from the planning committee?
That's Russ.
Russ is here.
Hello, I'm Russell Campaign. I'm current chair of the Planning Committee, and this is the second hearing on a proposed regulatory change to the accessory apartment regs, 273-19. At our last hearing, there was one item that I noted associated with the building design and location standards, C1. And we did make one change that I think was sent out to you. I conferred with George, and this sort of brought it into what our intent was, and it was just lost in our original policy. But all we did was we changed what was buildings used for accessory apartments shall meet setback requirements for principal buildings on a lot, as specified in Table 3 of the code, to new accessory buildings used for accessory apartments. So the intent is if existing buildings are being petitioned to turn into an apartment, then that would be something under your review under the accessory apartment, but it wouldn't foreclose the ability to utilize an existing building. It's only new construction intended for an accessory apartment that we wanted to meet principal building setbacks as opposed to accessory setbacks in the intent to buffer neighbors and such associated with new construction. So other than that, I don't think there was any other changes that were made, and I'm here to answer any other questions you may have associated with this. Yes?
Are these totally new from looking at them? I'm curious, for example, the first one says, and I understand there's probably safety issues here, but the other one says that, the first one says an apartment with at least one outside entrance. Now, if you have a house that has, a cellar and a Bilko door, there's basically no way to have an outside entrance.
Okay. Well, building code and its definition of what's required for an accessory apartment is pretty clear, and I think for health safety standards would be. But
Existing.
where are you reading? I'm sorry.
I'm reading condition B1. The apartment is provided with at least one outside entrance
Yes, well, we're looking for it to have a direct entrance, so you don't have to come through a private space to get to it. That's basically part of the definition that was always in the regs associated with it. Yeah.
That's what I was asking. I wanted to
Yeah,
make
so that is current, but,
Because I didn't see this before today.
okay.
That's why.
But the intent, I think with that is that it is an independent, it has the ability to be rented as an independent living quarters. It's not as though it's a family use that just has another kitchen or something. It's actually looking for the potential that it could be housing a family of Guilford, and that's the intent of these regs, I think, is to expand the options available for housing in Guilford.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Very well done. Do we have any other questions from the commission? No. Change, great. Anybody from the public would like to ask a question? Yeah, just state your name and address for the record, please.
It's Dr. Douglas Gladue. I live at 147 Sperry Drive. I actually couldn't find this online anywhere, so I just go from what the last meeting was to read this. What's that?
A copy of it? If you want.
I'd love to take it. I have really two questions that come up, and one is based upon what I heard last time was that you're going to remove the 10-year requirement for a building that already existed to turn into an accessory apartment. And my reason for questioning that is this means anyone can build anything and a year later come back and they don't have to have any of the requirements of an accessory apartment. I just brought an example to show you of somebody that's currently doing that. Building in white, this person had not been able to get an approval for an accessory apartment, so instead they built a garage with a big space up above that's not to be lived in. To me, in a year, all of a sudden that can become an apartment based on underneath these laws. So how are you going to prevent that? What's the planning to do? You're welcome to comment while I'm commenting. I don't care.
Second picture first.
They're both the same picture. It's just very hard from the street. I'm not able to get good pictures. You probably should look at these pictures.
Okay. Well, it still is a special permit process, so it still goes through a review of having to make application and make sure that it's meeting the standards that this has. The 10-year delay, I think, is, in our estimation, that something goes through the approval process before it's built. In other words, it sort of gives the control over the special permit process and the plan to be put out there and actually designed around the intent rather than sort of backdooring a way around it. And this wait period, the 10-year wait period and the 5-year, it's actually 5-year for attached and 10-year for detached, I think is gamed, and that's part of just sort of putting it out there. In other words, if it's been there for 10 years, it's an easier avenue for people to repurpose it as an accessory apartment. If it's put out initially as an application for a special permit for an outbuilding that is going to house an accessory apartment, it all comes in one application and is actually allowing feedback from the board architecturally and otherwise, and a judgment whether it's appropriate to that location. The 10-year, 5-year is extremely unusual. Really none of the other jurisdictions that we work in, that I work in professionally, have I seen that sort of delay associated with it. I think it initially came into Guilford's regs associated with an intent to repurpose historic outbuildings. I think that was the main intention, was to give an incentive for obsolete outbuildings in the center of town to be repurposed into higher and better uses. That happened 15, 20 years ago when this was installed, but since we've evolved to have an intent to actually want to have an additional scale and size and option for housing. And so that's what's driving, and that was what it was in the Plan of Conservation and Development. So I don't know about this particular project of building a garage with unused space above that then 10 years later is going to need to apply for an accessory apartment, but that could, that's 10 years down the road, they can apply for an accessory apartment.
Take a look at the pictures, and
Sure.
then you'll get an idea of what I'm saying. Because my second question has to deal with the language that was used last time on square footage. And it seemed very complicated, even though it may seem very easy to somebody making up a new law, and there were some questions here about that. And I just want to give an example of another law that sounds very easy, and paraphrasing it because I don't have the exact quote and I didn't have time to look it up. But there's a section that says 30% of the property has to be below 30% of the property to be paved. Well, I asked the zoning enforcement officer about this, and she couldn't explain that law to me. And I don't think it's her fault, but does that mean 30% of the entire property? Does that mean 30% of the property minus the house? Does the house count as paved property? Because there's no clear definition, it's up for interpretation.
Issue, so I think like in a R5 zone or an R3 zone, it's something like 30%, or, right, R5 is like 30% probably.
But
right?
what is the 30%?
20%, so the lot can't have more than 20% of it being impervious surface. Or pervious surface. Or no, okay, go ahead.
Residential zones don't have any impervious surface limitations.
Okay.
But they do have a coverage limitation of buildings and structures, which is 20% in the R5 zone. So that's
buildings and structures.
that's confusing for sure. And in commercial zones, we have an impervious surface coverage, which includes both pavement and the buildings. But residential zones do not have an impervious surface limitation.
So you
But
could
decking
pave,
are included.
you could pave the whole thing if
You
you
could,
wanted
in
it.
theory, have your entire lot paved.
I'm just giving it as an example. I'm not looking for an answer to that question, but you can see how confusing just that one is.
Yeah, we tried vetting that out, and that's number 5, if you look at that under conditions at our last hearing. And I think I'm comfortable understanding it at this point, being that 1,200 square feet is the maximum and 400 square feet would be the minimum. And it's based off of basically 35% of the current, right, house, of the main property.
The completed.
The completed property, yeah.
So it's 35% of the completed project or the proposal.
So let me just give you a real-life example again with the same house in Guilford, assuming that even though it's a garage now, it would be later turned into an apartment, and he was coming for a proposal. So if we look at that thing, the initial structure is about 1,750 square feet. Then there's a breezeway of 140 square feet. The garage is 936 square feet, and then I'm assuming the apartment up above is about 936 square feet. Now, what is considered living space? What's to prevent them from converting the garage to like a family area and just having it open for the time of inspection? What's to oppose them of putting up a wall in the middle of the apartment upstairs and saying, this is the apartment, this space over here is storage? Is it accessible? So my question is if you clarify this and give some examples, then later on there won't be any misinterpretations of this law. So, and what's to prevent, like in this case, they built a structure bigger than their house if you count the garage floor and the other floor, and it looks like 2 houses on one property, something I know that people wanted to prevent. So if you clarify that and give some examples, then later on it'll be easier to enforce and easier for people like myself to oppose a building such as that in our neighborhood, or to go for a building like that.
The size of the existing house now, in your example, is how big, ballpark?
1,750, including the furnished basement.
Let's just call it 2,000 for easy
Yep.
math. So 750 square feet would be the maximum size? If you're telling me that it's now 950, then that,
Well,
as it's currently sized, wouldn't be approvable.
But with the addition of the secondary structure, say 2,000 square feet plus an addition of another 2,000 square feet, now they could have whatever the maximum number of square footage in, which is almost the same size as their original house.
So it has to be the original structure.
So only the original structure square footage,
Right.
and that would include.
So that garage that you see there, 750 would be the max size if it was an accessory apartment, if I'm right?
The proposed accessory apartment and the existing house, 35% or a third of the property square footage can be allotted toward an apartment. So you're right. If the main house is 1,500 square feet, it could be 750. If it's 1,700 square feet, it can be 650. square feet.
But if they build a secondary structure that is not included in their original house? Yeah.
It's a third of the total square footage. I'm sorry, say again?
So when you say total square footage,
Of the proposed application. So if they're not adding any square footage, you can take a third of your existing living square footage and turn it into apartment. If you're putting in an addition or an outbuilding, you take the proposed total square footage and a third of the total living space of the apartment. Now, the total living space of the property can be utilized as an apartment. Now, the zoning, it still is underneath all of the other zoning for the Vulcan area. So the size and scale of that outbuilding, it still has to fall within all the other regulations that are over top of this as far as the Vulcan area of what we've put in place to control the size of structures and the size of outbuildings in relationship to other properties. So this is somewhat, it isn't complete because there's a lot of other things, a lot of other hurdles you have to go. But that particular project is allowed. I mean, if that was a family room or an expansion of their, it's completely legal for them to have that.
Actually, it's not, and I have an email from Reggie Reed about that. She says, thank you for your concern regarding the 36 by 26 garage and 10 by 14 breezeway. The garage does not have a second floor, and there are no stairs to the second floor. There are stairs now. The building official said in comments number 2, no habitable area per this permit. Habitable space could be under a separate permit. So as of right now, that would not be...
That's a building permit issue. That's
Yeah.
He didn't pay the permit fee and didn't get inspections for that to be turned in. But that's building permit. That's not zoning.
So as of right now, with him having a 1750 square foot house, he could never turn that into an apartment of 936 square feet, because that's approximately 50%. Or does that 936 get added on because it's a new building?
It's added on, and then the total is 35% of the total, but he would be in excess by 200 square feet or so.
Yeah. So that's my point, is that you can build a structure that looks like a secondary house, which would not be approved as an accessory apartment first, and later on just convert it, you know?
More, under the current regulations, he could build a 1,000 square foot apartment and it'd be legal for it in 10 years after it times out.
In 10 years.
We figured that out.
Yeah, 5 years.
Well, substantial. It's not just a breezeway. It's got to be heated. They changed the definition of that, so it is actually a substantial connector.
As you can see, this code is very straightforward, and we've had very easy ways to do this. I mean, it seems, even between you guys, you don't really understand the code that much. I mean, I would just like to see clarification in that code.
I think it's clear.
Or point an example.
Our arithmetic might be a little problematic here, but it's abundantly clear that you take the total square footage of the existing property plus whatever addition there is proposed for an accessory apartment, whatever the size of that is, multiply that by 0.35, and that's the maximum size of the accessory apartment. If your proposed accessory apartment doing that original calculation was more than that, then you have to go back and redo that arithmetic.
So what if in this scenario, he couldn't make the whole thing an apartment, but he could put up a wall upstairs and say this half, when you come and inspect, is the apartment, that other half is storage space, and that'd be perfectly
That'd be
legal.
possible, and that, you know, there are, as you are perhaps intimating, people who try to cheat the system, come back later, finish that off, nobody knows. It becomes an administrative and zoning enforcement issue. But that's true of many types of zoning permits and zoning approval. It's not unique to the accessory apartment regulations.
So should this happen, and should the whole place become living space, I contact Reggie Reed, and then she gives him 5 or 6 days to go and look at it, and...
Insist if, you know, she may have to go to court. You know, the zoning enforcement process is very cumbersome and time-consuming and expensive for the town. But, you know, that's the nature of zoning. It's not something that's unique to accessory apartments.
She absolutely would. Appreciate that. Do you have any other questions, Doc?
No, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Does anybody else in the audience like to ask a question? No? Thank you.
Move to close the portion of the public hearing. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thanks a lot, guys. Okay, we are at David Matthews. Hi. This is your first public hearing, correct?
Yes, it is.
All right.
I'm David Matthews. My wife and I own 20 Fox Ridge Road, and we've applied for a special permit application to add a 16.5 by 33-foot addition onto an existing 3-car garage. The garage will remain to be 3 bays, but will be deeper. There'll be no additional doors, no windows, spaces for garden equipment, a tractor, mowers, leaf blowers, snow blower, and a pickup truck. The building will be a salt box design, picking up on the existing roof height and conforming to the town of Guilford building standards. And I've brought a drawing of the property It's on 3.8 acres. And if there are any questions,
There's a letter here from Dennis Johnson.
Did you read it?
Did you get this letter yet?
no.
It says that the applicant's proposed garage addition will not impact upon the location or operation of the septic system currently existing on site. It's from Dennis Johnson, the health director.
Director of Health.
Okay.
Do you have any pictures of the existing building?
Yes, I do.
So the addition is going to go smack on the back of this?
Yes, on the right-hand side, if you notice, there's a white stick,
Yep.
stick with a white, that's the... Back there.
Yep.
That's how far back it
Yes. So that roof will be pitched off the back of this?
We're good?
Yes.
Checked off all the boxes?
Yeah, it's good, and wetlands is also approved.
Wetlands has approved it. Does the commission have any other questions? We're good? Somebody in the audience like to ask a question? Would anyone like to speak in favor? Against? Okay, this is going to be required for a second public hearing, so you will have another chance at our next meeting. Would like to make a motion to continue? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
David and Barbara Dinoa. How close was that?
Good evening. My name is David Denoya. My wife Barbara and I are here. We're asking for a proposal to build an accessory structure as well, greater than 750 square feet. There's an existing two-bay garage there now, and I can show you pictures if you'd like to see them. Actually, you can, there should be 7 copies there. But the structure essentially looks like what you see on the front cover. It's a 24 by 36 3-bay garage, replacing the existing 2-bay garage with a lean-to in the back. We believe that the structure will enhance the actual look of the property. If you look at the existing pictures, that the garage we have there right now is pretty decrepit looking. And we're looking to replace that part of it. It will sit on the exact same footprint that the existing garage is, except it'll be one bay more northward. So 12 more feet to the right of what you see in those pictures, basically. This has gone through Zoning Board of Appeals already. I have 3 letters here in the back of those packets. You'll see where the yellow sticky is. There's 3 letters from our abutters that have agreed and believe that this would be an asset to the property as well to the community. As you can see, the new structure looks much more familiar with an 1825 federal colonial than with the current structure that's there. The new one looks more like a barn structure, except it'll have 3-bay garage doors in the front.
There's a letter here from Dennis Johnson, the Director of Health again. It says that the applicant's proposed garage addition will not impact upon the location or operation of the septic system currently existing on site. Do you want this? Keep it for your records. Yep. I don't have any questions. It's very straightforward.
Can I ask a quick question? Not that, it's just for my edification. What variance did you have to get from the Zoning Board of Appeals?
Because we're in R8 zoning, but I live in the original farmhouse that belonged to the 52 acres around us. They cut off 1 acre property, who knows when, way back when, so we have a lot coverage issue. We actually have 4 variances. The first one was for lot coverage because we have more than 5% in an R8 zone. The second one was for combined side setbacks. We're 33 feet from the side, but we're only 14 feet from the other side, so we're 1 foot short. We asked for a height restriction because we're not quite sure, if you notice in that picture as well, it tails off in the back of the property. We weren't quite sure how it was going to be measured from grade. So the front will be lower, like you see in the picture. It'll be more lower than this picture. But we don't know from peak to back grade, because we go 10 feet around, how it will work. So we asked for a variance for that, just in case. And the fourth one was... Oh, that's right, street setback, thank you. So it's 12 feet or so from the property line, but 33 feet from the street itself. We can't really push it back because of the drop-off in the back. We need access to the backyard for septic or pool or free work. But those are the 4 variances we got. And we're granted. Thanks, Reggie.
This is a really well-done application. My compliments. This is perfect.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission?
I'm good.
All good?
Move it to
I'm going to ask the audience first. Somebody in the audience like to ask any questions? Let's speak in favor or against the application? Okay, once again, this will be a second public hearing. You'll have another chance at our next meeting. Can I get a motion, please?
To continue.
second.
To the 517 meetings, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We are on to the VFW. Yeah, you could read that one.
Hello, I'm Russell Campaign with CK Architects, and I'm here with Todd Anderson with Anderson Associates, and we're here representing the VFW and a reapplication for a site plan review in CAM for their project down on Mill Road. Just a little background. We were before you a little over a year ago and gained approval for a more ambitious project of taking the whole existing center down and rebuilding it. We went through bidding process and other sort of things and came up kind of against a wall where the bids came in higher than what we were able to afford under the grant, and we did do some research associated with fundraising and felt that the timeline of the grant would not allow us to raise the funds necessary to make up the gap. So we're back to the drawing boards and back before you to pull back a little bit and actually reuse a little less than half of the original center and then take down the main hall and rebuild that with a new center, which really is in a condition that wouldn't allow the building code to repurpose existing. We really needed to take it down and redo it. But we feel that we've pulled back enough to stay within the grant bounds and move forward to bidding hopefully very quickly from here. So with that said, I'll start with the architectural aspects of the site plan and then we can move on to the CAM. So this is Mill Road coming in, and this is the existing center that sits along Mill Road on that side. We're planning to keep what is the existing social hall and the kitchen, which are the two sort of most valuable assets, the oldest portions of the building, and happen to be in the best shape from a building code point of view. And then at the existing sort of demising wall of an addition that was put on in the 70s, we're going to take it off and actually rebuild the main hall with a new structure that can be freestanding, free of columns, and they be brought up to current energy code and HVAC and other issues. But the traffic patterns of the existing site are kept pretty much the same as they are now. We are still planning, as in our original application, to widen Mill Road and allow for some parallel parking to be added along the far side of Mill Road, the south side of Mill Road. That was something that is always a problem when they have events. It's not wide enough. They can't have two-way traffic. And so that widening is something that isn't inexpensive, but is something that seems to be really important in the function of the center. And then you'll pull in as you do now. We are planning to pave a good portion of the lot and keep just a section at the far end that's closest to the Mill Pond area, still gravel. So we are able to sort of delineate parking, put lines in and such so that there will be better flow. And there is a drop-off as you come in on this side with two paved accessible parking lot spaces. We're minimizing the lighting on the exterior. Most of it's going to be building lighting. That's replacement of existing halogen floods. We're going to replace with dark sky, full cutoff fixtures that are on the building, more architecturally sensitive. They're gooseneck kind of fixtures that will fit in the context. And then we're putting in 3 new downlights to illuminate the parking lot on this side. Again, they're sort of goosenecked with a pan, and the bulb has got a full cutoff view from the hood that's on it. We're planning to keep a portion of the existing patio that's there now that will be associated with a social club, and then actually put in a new patio associated with the main hall that's actually further from the pond and the wetlands, and sort of is similar in size and square footage to what they're now. It'll just function a little bit better. And they wanted very purposely to split the two, so the social club had its own outside space, and the rentable hall was separated from it. The square footages and footprint are very similar. There's a little bit of increased square footage, but we're under what we had in our original proposal. That square footage is basically maintaining the same size of the social hall, so the square footage of the actual hall itself. Where the gain is really in the accessible bathrooms, which it doesn't have now, and some of the sort of utility and back-of-house requirements that the code upgrades required. But again, it's minimal, and it's well less than the other proposal that we had before you before. We went through design review to look at the exterior of the building. So this is the existing on top, and this is the proposed down below. So you can see we're keeping the social hall, which is actually the stone portion of it, and then one bay, which is the kitchen now, and then basically putting a very similar style of building, a barn-like building that replaces what is now kind of convoluted with multiple additions and such. So it's a simple building. The color scheme, is what we had proposed before, is a hardy board siding and maintaining most of the existing siding. We probably will introduce a two-color scheme to sort of differentiate the two pieces. We're thinking of like a dark green and a reddish tone on this. I can show you kind of. This is like a similar of the colors that we had in the siding we had on another project. And looking around the building, on the sort of western side or northwestern side, you come in along the side of the building. Again, it's picking up on what we had before, but simplified, so it changes from the sort of open V kind of that's there now to a simpler structure and layout. On the looking at it as you come down Mill Road, it's basically is eclipsed by what's there now, and so we're sprucing this up a little bit, re-roofing it, doing the trim over painting, but pretty much is similar from that side. And then last, from the Mill Pond side, right now we're cutting it off right at this area. We're going to expose the existing stonework that's behind and been covered up by a little lean-to addition that's falling apart here, and then taking on the new along here with doors out onto the patio and better windows to take in the view, and an entry door over by the road and the accessible parking over on this side. So simpler, cleaner, is definitely leveraging the parts of the existing building we can, but pretty much the site function and flow is going to be very similar to what's there now and has functioned well since then. I mean, we do have, and this hasn't really changed much, there is a sign that's on the entry that we're proposing that was the exact same positioning and sort of detailing that we had in the original proposal. There's a fenced area that will have the dumpster. The dumpster now sits here open. We're going to put a fence around it, and there is a remote generator over on that side that stayed in the same position, and we have an existing variance on that. We did have to receive variances to maintain the front setback on this, but we had to go before inland wetlands to be less, working within the 100-foot setback. They feel that our proposals are improving, and Todd will speak to that. So overall, I mean, it is a step back, but I think we are sort of remaking the center in a way that will be service to the VFW. We'll leverage the grant that they've received from the state, and make it function, I think, a lot more smoothly for the types of events that they have. But the special permit events, we had a discussion the last time we were there. Our proposal is the hours of operation and all of that are as they were in the original proposal, and I think we came to a conclusion that everybody was pretty satisfied with that from our original proposal. So if you have any other questions of me, I can. Do you want to split the two with the CAM separately and close this and open, or is it going to be that we can have the two simultaneously?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to move on to that, or do you have questions of me at this time?
Commission?
Yeah, let's join them up.
There's some letters, but it has to do with
so
CAM.
we have a CAM letter from the state, but my question is, this is tidal, this pond?
No. It's the river. It's the river behind, and it's a 500-foot setback, and we just are in it. So it's the river that is the bridge at Route 1. You'll see is tidal right there, and it comes a little bit beyond that, I think. And so we just are in it.
There is tidal wetlands that extends up
behind the property down in this area here. This is an inland wetland here, this is all inland wetland here. The closest title is probably about maybe 200 feet, 250 feet away, but we are...
Not gonna do this.
Great. Do you want to read that now?
Could I?
Would you please?
I would love to. This is from our friend Carol Szymanski. She's an environmental analyst too for the state, the Bureau of Water Protection and Land Reuse. And it's addressed to us, Planning and Zoning. It's about this site plan, and it says, Dear Commissioners, thank you for referring this application for coastal site plan review, received March 6th to us for review and comment. Project description. The subject property is a 30,900 square foot non-waterfront lot in an R5 district residential, which hosts a building used by the VFW with access to and shoreline on Mill Pond. The applicant proposes to remove and reconstruct part of the existing building and install a new parking lot. The building will continue to be used by the VFW for commercial type purposes, event rentals, and the like. The perimeter of the parking area should be curbed to avoid overland flow of stormwater into Mill Pond or the adjacent brook. We recommend the applicant for proposing to install 80 by 4 foot by 4 foot galleys to store the first inch of rainfall. Coastal resources on the site include inland wetlands and shorelands. Conclusion, she hopes that these comments are helpful, as they always are, and Carol really came through here with some good comments. So this is the letter.
You guys addressed that, correct? Yes, we have the 80 foot of the 4x4 galleys in the ground here that capture 100% of the first inch of rain that hits the building and the parking lot. Roof leaders are located here and here to drain the roof water from the new addition and as much from the existing building. I'm not sure how the roof leader is going to tie in for the existing portion. We have a catch basin located right here, which will capture the water coming off of the parking lot in this area and that roof leader. Going back to another catch basin in this area, which will capture the rainwater that hits this portion of the parking lot. All of that goes into that in-ground system. This parking lot, there is a rise from the parking lot up and over a hump before you even get to the mill pond. There's a rise and a hump before you get to the wetlands. Now, that is going to be maintained. So right now, rainwater that hits this parking lot does not flow into Mill Pond or this stream now. It comes down and funnels right alongside this building into a small little gravel area in here and flows right off into the wetlands over here. All of that we will capture with these two drainage structures. And the only part of the rainwater that will continue to flow off-site is a very small corner of the town road in this area here will continue to flow off the way it does. And the small portion of the town road in here will continue to flow down the road into these two catch basins here. So it's a large improvement on what is there now. Right now, there's no storage of rainwater at all. Now we're capturing almost 100% of the rainwater that's hitting the impervious surface.
There's a letter here from Kevin as well. Did you get that?
I did not.
Okay.
Why don't you read that in?
Well, it's regarding this application. This applicant has completed the checklist to guide low-impact development-based best management practices, and he's utilizing some of the recommended practices. Most of the work being conducted is on an already disturbed portion of the site. The addition replacement is slightly larger than the original addition. The existing gravel parking is proposed to be paved and curbed. The stormwater system has been developed utilizing low-impact design principles consisting of catch basins and roof leaders that discharge into an underground infiltration system located in the parking lot away from Mill Pond. The stormwater system is designed to treat the first inch of rainfall. The plans for the project have sedimentation and erosion control procedures that are in compliance with 273-97B subsection 6 of the zoning regulations. The Guilford Inland Wetlands Commission in its April 12, 2017 meeting approved a regulated activity with conditions for the replacement of part of an existing building, the construction of a new parking lot, landscaping, and widening of Mill Road within 100 feet upland jurisdiction review area. In order to make sure the natural resources are protected, I recommend the following conditions of approval. Just one, the Town of Guilford zoning enforcement officer shall be notified to inspect the sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to any site work. Soil stockpiles should be contained by silt fencing and/or hay bales. Soil erosion and sedimentation control measures shall be maintained until vegetation is established or suitable material is installed to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer.
So you're still working on the road?
Excuse me?
You're still working on the road?
The road will be widened along this whole section in here. And right in here where the pavement existing now comes up to the building, but it's very steep, that will be leveled off and made part of the new parking lot. That will be totally redone in that area there.
Is there any drainage work going on with the new road, or no?
No.
Any other questions, commissioners?
The building is a little bit larger.
Yes, I think it's, so it goes, we're about 500 square feet larger. Total square footage.
How much larger was the original application?
I think it was 550 or something like that.
And the generator is going right where it was before?
It is, yes. Yes.
Which is already in.
No, the generator's not.
Pad is in?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nothing.
But you're not moving it?
It's in the proposed location it was before. We had to get a variance. It was a condition of the inland wetlands. There was no place on the site that the inland wetlands wanted the generator that was compliant with the setback. So we did receive a variance to allow that generator to be close to the side property line, but it's adjacent to really town property and then a very large parcel that's over on this side. So we received that variance and we're maintaining that variance and proposing to put it in that location. Again, this whole area, they were concerned with the noise associated with it, so it can't be near the building.
So with the 500 feet, you still have enough parking, correct?
Yes, as I said, the parking is, the usable space, the actual program area of the central hall is basically the same as what's there now. It's the back of house stuff. It's the accessible bathrooms. There needs to be, utility closet. There's, he asked for some additional pantry storage for when he has the food drives and those sorts of things. So it's not driving our parking count in that way. From a square footage point of view, it's service area, not usable program.
Are we going to be voting on the CAM application today?
No, I would suggest you just keep it all together as one application.
And I should also note, actually, are increasing our parking count considerably by adding the widening of Mill Road. I think we're, off the top of your head, what the parking count?
I do not know. If I had to guess, I would say that we're adding about 10 spaces.
Yeah, 10 spaces or so, I think.
This is a special permit use, so it requires a second public hearing.
Right, which we'll get to that. Public, would you like to ask any questions? Anybody? Okay.
Second.
So this is going to a second public hearing to continue.
To May 17th.
To May 17th. Always got to state that.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good work.
There's Christopher and Andrea Greeny.
For the record, I'm Mark Young. I'm a land surveyor with Waldo Associates, representing Christopher and Andrea Greeny. This property is on 153 Marshall Avenue. It's about 80 by 100 feet. The application is for installation of pavers on the driveway and construction of a deck, a patio deck here. The coastal resources of concern are the general resource, coastal hazard area, nearshore waters, and the tidal wetlands. And of course, the tidal wetlands being right along the back there is a major concern. We looked at the stormwater treatment on the site. We reviewed this with Kevin, and Kevin McGee and Dennis Johnson. There is an existing infiltration gallery for the roof runoff, which was installed when the house was built about 15 years ago. That appears to be functioning, and that will not be affected. The current driveway is loose gravel. Now, Guilford generally considers that to be impervious, so replacing that with pavers results in a very little change in the runoff on the driveway. In fact, there will be some advantage because the driveway is it's a bit of a slope down from the street to the garage, so the pavers will stabilize that slope and minimize the chance of any of the gravel or dirt running down towards the back. So the patio will be constructed of bluestone over a deep gravel base. So that will, the gravel will promote infiltration from any runoff from the patio. And the rest of the backyard is grass. It's relatively flat until it drops off towards the river. So, most of the runoff will soak in the backyard. So overall, I think this is a relatively minor project. It will enhance the owner's ability to enjoy their property with no deleterious effect on the coastal resources.
There's a letter from Kevin. I'll read it into the record.
Okay.
The applicant is proposing to install impervious pavers in the driveway and a pervious bluestone patio. The site plan provides for erosion and sedimentation control measures that are designed to protect the adjacent coastal resources. The work being conducted could have a minor impact on the adjacent coastal resources if the erosion and sedimentation control measures are not properly maintained. In order to make sure that the coastal resources are protected during the construction process, I recommend the following conditions of approval. First, the Town of Guilford zoning enforcement officer should be notified to inspect the sedimentation and erosion control measures prior to any site work. Stockpiles should be contained by silt fencing and/or hay bales. Soil erosion and sedimentation control measures shall be maintained until vegetation is established or suitable material is installed to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer. And second, any soil removed from digging the pilings should be disposed of outside the flood hazard area. Do you have any problems with those conditions?
No, that's fine. As far as the stockpiles, we anticipate mostly just baling any excess material right onto a truck. Because the site is so tight, there's not a lot of room for a stockpile.
We also got a letter from Dennis Johnson.
What does it say?
It says, the applicant proposed driveway and patio construction will not impact upon the location of operation existing septic system. So the septic system is okay.
Out of sight.
We have those, thank you.
George?
Yes.
So the DFW was far away from tidal wetlands, and it had a letter from Carol Zmansky. How come this being right near tidal wetlands doesn't have a letter from her?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know.
She chose not to review it. Did you have any comment from the state DEP?
Kevin doesn't, he usually incorporates her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure why.
I'm looking up at Carol. I like Carol.
She talks about so many relevant things in her
She's on top of her game. I like Carol.
I think it's nice, but it's not necessary.
I found her comments are very helpful to the commission.
We got a copy from
Carol?
From planning and zoning.
Really?
Not in the record for us?
Didn't come to us, though.
You want me to read it in the record?
Can I read it? I want to read it. I love Carol. Let me read it. I want to read it.
Feel free. I'd like it back.
I'll be happy to give it to you. And we didn't get it. Can you imagine that?
We might have it.
I'm sure you do. 2 of planning and zoning, coastal site plan review for pervious patio and pavers on a driveway and waterfront lot at 153 Marshall. Dear Commissioners, thank you for referring this coastal site plan review received April 12, 2017 for review and comment. Project description: the subject property is a 0.18 acre undersized waterfront lot with tidal wetlands frontage in the R2 district. The minimum lot size for the R2 district is 10,000 square feet. when you know that. The proposal is to construct a patio and install pavers over the gravel driveway. All construction activities are proposed are at least 20 feet from tidal wetlands, 20 feet, right?
That seems about right.
Yep, stormwater over the impervious driveway pavers will sheet flow over land. Coastal resources on site include tidal wetlands and coastal flood hazard area AE 13 and AE 14. We see no conflicts with the Connecticut Coastal Management Act. The tidal wetlands are a valuable coastal resource worthy of protection. It is important to note that tidal wetlands do not migrate over time. They do migrate. Carol, they do migrate. Stop.
Are you kidding?
No, they do migrate over time. This lot would not be eligible for a flood and erosion control structure in the future if tidal wetlands do migrate towards the residents. I'm not making it up. That's Carol.
Thank you very much.
Good job. Carol Zavansky, Environmental Analyst 2.
We have any other questions?
She wants to be free soon. Thank you very much.
No more questions from the commission?
I'm good.
All right. Any questions from the audience? Any comments for or against? Yes, sir. Please come up and state your name and address for the record.
I'm Don Knapp. Live at 744 Mulberry Point Road. However, I own the marsh that is directly behind it. I speak in favor. I have no problem with it whatsoever. I think it will be a fine addition and will not disturb anything on the marsh.
Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated.
I'm sorry.
Anybody else from the audience? Okay.
Public hearing.
Do I got a second?
Second.
All in favor? Did you vote yes?
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
All right. We're on Green Grove. Good evening.
How you doing? My name is Philip Murata, Jr. I represent Green Grove, and I'm here for a special permit and site plan. We have a concrete patio that measures 20 by 15. It's over 42 inches deep. It's been there for probably 10 years. It shows no sign of aging or cracks or anything. The structure is perfect, and I want to add on top of it. We're going to put in some bathrooms. I don't want to change. We're licensed 20-bed facility for the state of Connecticut. We're not trying to jack up our license. We're not trying to get any more people in there. All we're trying to do is improve the quality of life. We're going to try to add in bathrooms. Where we lose a room on the, against the building, we're going to take that room and move it on the outside. And then the inside room will be divided up and made into bathrooms, which don't need, windows and such. So that's going to be done on the first floor and then again on the second floor. And, it's going to have all mechanicals, sprinklers, and everything else that it needs by code.
You're building a slab of concrete?
Yes, but it's not just a slab of concrete. It was done like as if, it's 48 inches deep. It's 10 inches wide, the concrete, but it's capped with a 6-inch cap. So it's more than structurally.
Curious how you're going to run the plumbing through that.
Oh, no, I'm coming up off top of that. I'm going to have a little bit of crawl space, maybe like about 18 inches. And I'll vent that and make sure that, it has enough air.
Got a project.
Not your saw cutting.
Yeah.
Is this the old folks home?
Yes.
And it says
Elder.
retire in comfort.
Comfort, yeah, there you go.
I know the place. You never know. Soon.
Wouldn't you want a private bathroom?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So how are we with coverage, everything?
And I looked at floor area, lot coverage is fine.
Okay.
It was already included when they had the patio put
Right.
there. Floor area is good, they're still under. So, it's good.
What's the size? Do we have any kind of a?
It is .68 acres, and it's in the R1 zone.
You have something in there?
I have nothing as far as the building sketch. it's gonna be done by next week if, you know, you.
We have a second public hearing.
I'll bring it.
Right?
But I can show you where it's gonna be on the property if that helps or no.
You probably should show it just so that it's on the public record. This will require historic district approval.
No, I'm
It
talking
will,
about,
and it has not yet. Okay, you got that, guys? Tom, you heard that?
No, I just
It's
don't.
going to require the historic
Right.
So if they approve it, then my question is.
If they don't, then we can't.
They do design review, essentially.
So that's not.
They approve the exterior architectural details.
okay.
Yes,
but if you
on
wanna
the
see
next
where-
meeting, yes.
If you wanna see where it's gonna be on the plan, I could show you that. You know, relationship to the yard.
Why don't we do it at the next meeting when you have the...
Okay, I mean, because I had extra ones, sorry.
But I will open up, is there questions here as of now?
For a historic district review before our next meeting, or should we put them out in June, I guess? When do they meet?
You don't have to wait for historic district has to approve it before they can get a building permit.
Oh, okay.
You don't have, they don't
So
have
let's
to.
not make them wait.
You don't have,
Let's do the-
no,
No.
right.
Will we continue this?
We are going to.
This is a special permit.
Has to be.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm making a motion.
Well, let me ask the public.
Oh, that's right, sorry.
And then we'll take your motion. Anybody from the public like to ask a question at this point? Okay. Go ahead, Tom.
Will we continue this on 5/17/17?
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, can I? Second. All in favor? Okay, let's deliberate on some.
I'll make a motion, voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit for Guilford CrossFit LLC at 391 Soundview Road, map 35, lot 12, as shown on an application dated March 23, 2017, to change use and add to physical and recreational use. This application is approved based upon a finding that it conforms with the zoning code. The special permit is effective May 12, 2017, and upon filing with the town clerk.
Second.
Okay, can I just make a couple comments? First comment is, because we're not 100% sure on how it works, if we watch a video, we don't watch a video, once we get that cleared, I think you're going to recuse yourself on this one because you weren't here and didn't have time to review the tape.
Right, I was out of town, totally.
So, going on what I believe, you need to review the tape in its entirety. He's going to sit out. You two are on anyway because we had 7, so just...
This is real. There's no reason why this is.
We could. Let's hope we don't, but we could.
George breaks the tie.
George will break the tie.
George breaks the tie.
That's all I wanted to
Cheese stands alone.
You don't have to.
All right, so there's really nothing here. These people have been running this business there for quite some time. They're successful at it. They don't bother any of the neighbors. I can see no reason why we would not approve this immediately.
Well, I think that it's a different location, but I agree. They've been running.
We only had one comment, and that was the,
Worried about outdoor.
a lady about the outdoor music, and they assured us that that would not happen.
Right.
So,
This is a home run.
okay. I call the vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Unanimous. Next.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a special permit for change of use for 3 Girls Vegan Creamery at 342 Stepstone Hill Road, map 92, lot 18, as shown on an application dated 3/22/17. This application is approved based upon a finding that the change of use will not have no adverse impact on the neighborhood in this vicinity. The special permit is effective May 12, 2017, and upon filing with the town clerk.
Second.
Were there any comments I needed to incorporate in the
No.
conditions?
No. This used to be a liquor store, I think.
Okay, yeah, it's a big site.
And it's a vegan creamery, so, you know, they're at the cutting edge of new business that is going to grow.
I didn't hear it.
Okay.
It'll be
Any
a good
discussion?
It'll be a great addition to the area there, and I'm sure they're going to be successful with their business. I would endorse this 100%.
Phil, you're okay because there's no dairy being used, so the smell shouldn't be.
That was my only concern. So.
Okay, call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Any opposed? Abstaining?
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve an amendment to the zoning code
No,
as,
you can't.
you know, this is the one that Russ campaigned
Oh,
about.
okay, yep.
As follows, pursuant to the revised accessory apartment regulations presented by the Planning Committee draft dated April 26, 2017. This amendment is approved based upon a finding that it consists with the plan of conservation and development and will further the purpose of promoting greater housing diversity. The amendment is effective on May 12, 2017.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
My only concern is the impact that it's going to have on the amount of children going to the school district versus the amount of tax that that property generates. My concern is that by doubling up the number of families that can live basically as of right, even though it's going to be special permit, it's more as of right in its application. I don't know that we could ever cover the added children with the added taxes that are coming in. So I don't know that I could support this, but I'm certainly open to anything anyone has to say to convince me otherwise.
I mean, I disagree completely with Rich on that one. I think that the purpose of this is not to have two large families living on one site. I don't think that it's often practical in a town like Guilford to have large families in a less than 1,200 square foot apartment. I think that the purpose of this is really to encourage families that can't afford to stay in Guilford, or divorce situations, families that have parents that need to be supported, families that have kids in college that need a place to live as well. I think that that's really the purpose of this, to make it more accessible for those individuals. I don't think the purpose of this is to have 2, 5, 6, 8-person families in those properties, but that's what I think, and I think it's a great idea.
Well, I respect both of your opinions, and they're both valid, so it's great.
I agree with Josh, and I think that was also brought before us as a component of the affordable housing. And as the population ages, get taken in, parents get taken in rather than kids get taken in.
Thanks, Rich. Tom, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm in favor of this.
Okay, Phil or Alan, either one of you guys? All right. Well, then I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? You guys abstaining?
I'm not opposed. I would make him in favor.
Okay. All right. Did you get that, Lisa? Do you want to do it one more time?
One opposition and one abstention.
Oppose, one abstain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor. Motion carries. Okay, I believe we are going on now.
We got one more.
Cam on Greenie.
Yeah, they can't. You want me?
I got it.
Go ahead.
Voted that the Guilford Planning and Zoning Commission approve a coastal area management plan for Christopher and Andrea Greenie at 153 Marshall Avenue, map 10, lot 55, as shown on the zoning location survey and coastal site plan, property of Christopher and Andrea Greenie, prepared by Waldo and Associates, dated March 28, 2017. The application is approved with the following conditions, which are noted by Kevin McGee. And the application is approved based upon finding that it conforms with the zoning code as inconsistent with the coastal area management policies of the state of Connecticut.
Second.
Okay, we're going to have a discussion. Anything that would seem out of the ordinary?
The only thing that I would want to point out is that the property owner is on notice from Carroll that with the migration of the tidal wetlands, that they can't take any precautions of armoring that area. And fortunately, Carroll weighed in on that, so we have that.
It was very nice that the adjacent, or the property owner, too,
absolutely,
came out in support of that.
Yep.
I think
that speaks volumes.
Okay, any other comments or discussion? All right, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose or abstain? No.
Congratulations.
Thank you for coming out.
Okay, are we on to applications to be received, gentlemen?
Got it.
Okay, so let's start.
Can I do it? You want me to do it?
Winifred, do you want me to read this?
Go ahead, Bob.
Winifred Siebert, the Guilford Keeping Society, Meathead Stone Tavern Museum, 171 3 Mile Course, map 70, lot 18, zone R3, special permit application for rental of first floor of the house and outside property for events. 273-19, receiving said public hearing for June 3rd with a mandatory second public hearing on June 21st, 2017.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No, I was calling
Second,
for-
another one from Winifred C. Guilford Keeping Society, the Thomas Griswold Museum, 171 Boston
Street, map 40, lot 134, zone R3, special permit application for rental of field outside for events. 273-19, receive and set public hearing for June 3rd, with a mandatory second public hearing on June 21st, 2017.
The June 3rd is Saturday.
Is it really? Okay.
So it'd be the 7th and the 21st.
Okay, so let's go back and amend that first one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I will remove, and Rich will re-second. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Good call.
Little late.
Good call.
Thank you.
No one would have caught it.
Bill, much appreciated.
Well, I'll second. I will move this first one.
Yes.
With this one, I would second.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the revised date. Although we could meet on a Saturday if we, if you wanted to do that.
Let's
Jeff
not do
White,
that.
160 Woodland Road, map 55, lot 210, zone R3, special permit application to build a garage, section 273-19. Receive and set a public hearing for June 7th, 2017, with a mandatory second public hearing on June 21st, 2017.
So moved.
The date's wrong there, too?
Yeah, we
That's
fixed
correct.
it.
I mean, correct that.
Second.
All in favor? Next.
Wholehearted Early Learning Center LLC, 125-129, Water Street, map 32, lot 17, zone R3, section 273-19. Receive and set public hearing for June 3rd, 2017, June 7th, 2017, with a mandatory second public hearing on June 21st, 2017.
What is this for?
Second.
Well, I'll move it, and then
Second.
Tom will second, okay.
So what are they doing?
We'll have to figure it out.
We'll have to receive it.
All right.
See it first, then we'll find out.
Site plan,
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Okay, next site plan.
John Christopher Brentman, 1984, Boston Post Road, map 78, lot 2, zone TS2. Site plan received to change use from auto mechanic shop to auto body shop, section 2739-97. I'll receive. Just
So
receive.
moved.
Is that the,
Yes, I don't know. It's not set.
Just receiving.
Yeah, just receiving, okay.
you don't specify date?
Not for just that.
Okay, all right.
So I motion that we receive
So
that.
move, second.
Call the vote.
All in
Aye.
favor?
Good.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
Jennifer Mullet.
We would like to appoint Jennifer Mullet to the planning committee.
Good work, sir. Excellent.
Okay? Everybody's happy?
It's in your discretion only.
You're the chairman, it's your call, man.
Yeah, I would like to.
Okay.
What were you asking me? I'm sorry.
I'm just asking if we know Jennifer and have we looked at her, well, it's up to you.
Yes, we actually got to look at her very lengthy resume and very nice cover letter and her desire to be on it, so. Thanks,
Mr.
Bill.
Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed the minutes from the 419 regular meeting, and they appear substantially correct, so I make a motion that we accept them.
Second.
Are we all in favor of that?
Any bills?
No, this is the second meeting in a row for me, by the way, where we have no bills. I like to.
We're running a tight ship,
Okay.
right?
All those in favor of the minutes, Tom? Frank? Frank? All those in favor of accepting?
Yes, do everybody accept?
Mr. Chairman, inasmuch as there's no other business before the commission, I make a motion that we end this meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Gentlemen, have a great night, and ladies.
They were not